At 67, Madeleine Stowe remains one of Hollywood's most captivating and unforgettable actresses. Known for her roles in iconic films like The Last of the Mohicans and Revenge, she captured the hearts of audiences around the world with her poise, beauty, and intensity. But behind the spotlight and the glamorous red carpets, Madeleine Stowe's life has taken turns that few fans could have imagined. What has really happened to her? And why has her story taken such an emotional turn? For decades, Stowe balanced fame, career, and personal life with a quiet determination that often went unnoticed. While the public adored her performances and assumed her life followed the same elegance she portrayed on screen, there was a private world filled with challenges, decisions and sacrifices that remained hidden from view. Friends and colleagues hint at a woman who is not only talented, but deeply reflective, resilient, and surprisingly private about the struggles she has faced. Now, after years away from the Hollywood spotlight, the truth about Madeleine Stowe's life at 67 is finally coming into focus. The moments that once seemed distant or mysterious are revealing a story of triumph, heartache, and quiet perseverance. From personal challenges to career decisions, there is a side of Stowe that few ever glimpsed. And it's more emotional than many fans could have imagined. This isn't just the story of a beloved actress, it's a reminder of the human experiences behind the fame. For those who remember her at the peak of her career, the changes in her life may be shocking, heartbreaking, and yet deeply inspiring. What you're about to discover shows a woman who, even after decades in Hollywood, has endured more than anyone ever realized and has done it with grace. Madeleine Stowe's career has long been admired for its depth and versatility. She rose to prominence in the 1980s and 1990s, captivating audiences with performances that combine strength, vulnerability, and sophistication. Her portrayal of women who were intelligent, complex, and resilient set her apart in Hollywood, earning her critical acclaim and a devoted fan base. Yet behind the accolades and fame, Stowe's life was shaped by choices and circumstances that were often private, and at times emotionally taxing. For many, the image of Stowe was one of elegance and composure. She exuded confidence both on-screen and off, whether walking red carpets, attending premieres, or participating in interviews. But those who knew her personally recall a woman deeply reflective, someone who approached life with care and intentionality. Behind the public persona was a private life where personal growth, relationships, and self-preservation required careful attention. Even at the height of her career, she maintained a level of discretion that few actors could manage. In her personal life, Stowe faced challenges that were not always visible to the public. Balancing family, personal aspirations, and a demanding career required sacrifices. She learned early that fame could bring admiration and opportunity, but it also demanded vigilance. Every choice, every public appearance, and every career decision carried weight, and missteps could reverberate far beyond what was immediately apparent. For a woman who valued both her craft and her privacy, these pressures demanded resilience. As she entered her later years, Madeleine Stowe made conscious decisions to step back from the constant glare of Hollywood. Her absence from the spotlight was not due to a decline in talent or relevance, but rather a deliberate choice to prioritize personal fulfillment over public expectation. By limiting her exposure, she created space to focus on family, personal interests, and causes she cared about deeply. This retreat allowed her to navigate life on her own terms, away from the scrutiny that had defined much of her earlier career. Even with this distance, she remained connected to the art form that defined her. Stowe selectively chose projects that resonated with her, roles that challenged her as an actress and allowed her to continue exploring complex characters. This careful approach demonstrated that, even at 67, she maintained her commitment to excellence and authenticity in her craft. Audiences who returned to her work after years away were reminded of the intensity and nuance that had always set her apart. Yet there was more to her story than professional choices. Stowe's personal experiences, relationships, family, and moments of solitude shaped her perspective in ways that were rarely publicized. Friends describe her as someone who carries empathy, intelligence, and emotional depth, qualities that made her not only a remarkable actress, but also a deeply thoughtful person. Her life at 67 is not defined solely by past achievements, but by the wisdom and resilience she cultivated through decades of navigating both triumph and challenge. For fans who remember her youthful roles, the transformation is striking. Stowe's grace has not diminished with age. If anything, it has been deepened by experience. Her story now reflects a life lived with intentionality, a careful balance between public visibility and private fulfillment. While Hollywood often celebrates the external trappings of fame, Stowe's journey emphasizes the internal growth and personal strength that define true resilience. Understanding what has happened to Madeleine Stowe at 67 requires seeing beyond the headlines. It requires recognizing the complexity of a life lived in the public eye while maintaining private authenticity. It is a story not of decline or tragedy, but of adaptation, choice, and enduring strength. The years away from the spotlight allowed her to reclaim agency over her life, to focus on the aspects of living that truly matter, and to emerge as a figure defined not only by past roles but by the wisdom and perspective she now embodies. Madeleine Stowe's retreat from Hollywood's constant attention was not a disappearance, but a redefinition of priorities. As she approached her late 60s, she carefully curated the aspects of life she engaged with, choosing personal fulfillment over relentless public exposure. Friends and colleagues noticed a change not in her talent or energy, but in the way she moved through life with deliberate intention. She had learned that time, once taken for granted, could be better invested in personal growth, family, and passions beyond the screen. Family became an increasingly central part of her life. Stowe valued deep, meaningful connections, and she invested herself fully in nurturing relationships that mattered most. For decades, balancing professional demands with personal needs had required compromise, but stepping back allowed her to prioritize the people she loved. Those who spent time with her during this period describe a woman who is warm, generous, and present, qualities that were perhaps hidden in the earlier years of fame, when constant attention and expectations often overshadowed private life. Professionally, Stowe remained selective and purposeful. She did not chase every opportunity or seek constant visibility, but she continued to choose roles that resonated deeply with her. Each project became a statement of intention, reflecting both her commitment to craft and her desire to engage in work that mattered to her personally. The performances she delivered in this period were marked by nuance, depth, and the wisdom accumulated over decades, a reminder that talent does not fade with age but can deepen with experience. Her ability to maintain balance was supported by a deep sense of self-awareness. Stowe had learned over the years to recognize her emotional limits, to understand when to step back, and to acknowledge the importance of personal boundaries. This awareness allowed her to navigate both professional and personal spaces with grace, avoiding the burnout and disillusionment that often accompany long careers in Hollywood. Her story at 67 exemplifies the value of reflection, discipline, and self-preservation in sustaining a meaningful life. Despite stepping away from the spotlight, Stowe's influence continued to be felt. Her work remained admired by new generations of viewers who discovered her films, and by colleagues who valued her insight, mentorship, and presence. She demonstrated that even outside the glare of media attention, an artist can remain relevant, respected, and impactful. Her legacy, therefore, is not only in the roles she played, but in the careful way she chose to live her life beyond the screen. At the same time, Stowe's life at 67 reveals the emotional depth of a woman who has weathered both public acclaim and private challenges. She carries the memories of youthful triumphs, professional highs, and personal lessons learned through experience. Yet these moments are tempered by reflection, understanding, and the wisdom that comes from decades of navigating both external expectations and internal growth. Her story is one of endurance, adaptation, and quiet courage. Fans who see her now may be struck by the contrast between her early fame and her current life. The radiant, youthful star of blockbuster films has grown into a woman defined not only by talent but by thoughtful introspection and personal resilience. Her story serves as a powerful reminder that the passage of time can bring clarity, focus, and the ability to prioritize what truly matters. What many might have assumed was fading or retreat is, in fact, a transformation into a life lived with intention. Ultimately, understanding Madeleine Stowe's life at 67 requires looking beyond appearances. The glamour and acclaim of her early years are only part of the story. Equally important is the private resilience, deliberate choice, and emotional strength that have defined her later years. She has endured, adapted, and thrived not in the constant spotlight, but in a space where she could live authentically, embrace her personal prior. Her continued connection to the arts, even in selective roles, revealed a woman committed not only to her craft but to personal authenticity. Each performance she undertook was imbued with depth, experience, and emotional intelligence, qualities that only intensified with age. Critics and fans alike noticed that her portrayals were richer and more nuanced than ever, reflecting a life lived fully, both in public and private spheres. It became clear that stepping back from constant exposure did not diminish her impact. It allowed her talent to resonate even more profoundly. Friends who spent time with Stowe during this period describe her as deeply empathetic, thoughtful, and grounded. She cultivated spaces where honesty and reflection could flourish, a contrast to the performative aspects of Hollywood life. While she could command attention when necessary, she preferred meaningful conversation, quality time with loved ones, and pursuits that nurtured her intellect and spirit. In this way, her later years became an opportunity to define success on her own terms, outside of the rigid structures and expectations of the industry. Her story also illustrates the emotional labor required to maintain such a balance. Public personas demand consistency, charm, and visibility. Yet private lives require introspection, boundaries, and self-care. For Stowe, managing these overlapping worlds required immense self-awareness and resilience. She approached every decision, personal or professional, with thoughtfulness, carefully considering the impact on both her public image and her private well-being. This deliberate approach allowed her to maintain integrity, independence, and emotional health, even amid the pressures of fame. As time passed, the contrast between her early career and her life at 67 became more apparent. Audiences remembered the youthful, radiant star who dominated screens with intensity and elegance. What they may not have seen was the woman who had learned to navigate the complexities of fame, relationships, and personal growth with wisdom and discretion. The experiences she accumulated over decades shaped her not only as an actress but as a person, capable of living with intentionality, clarity, and purpose. Madeleine Stowe's story also underscores a broader truth about Hollywood and life in the public eye. Appearances can be deceiving, and what is visible to the world is rarely the full story. Fame often emphasizes glamour, success, and external validation. Yet the private realities of emotional resilience, personal reflection, and deliberate decision-making remain largely unseen. Stowe's life at 67 exemplifies how one can remain extraordinary not by constant visibility, but by thoughtful, intentional engagement with both personal and professional life. Her journey serves as inspiration for those who have followed her career and for anyone navigating the balance between external expectation and internal fulfillment. Stowe demonstrates that it is possible to maintain dignity, independence, and authenticity, even under intense scrutiny. The years away from the spotlight were not a retreat, but a conscious choice to cultivate a life defined by priorities, relationships, and personal growth rather than constant performance. Ultimately, understanding Madeleine Stowe at 67 is about appreciating the quiet strength, resilience, and wisdom that define her today. Her life is a testament to the enduring power of choice, the value of self-awareness, and the importance of cultivating private spaces in a world obsessed with visibility. She remains not only a remarkable actress, but a deeply compelling individual, whose story continues to resonate far beyond the screen. Now, at 67, Madeleine Stowe embodies a life defined by resilience, intentionality, and quiet accomplishment. The choices she has made, stepping back from constant exposure, prioritizing personal relationships, and selecting projects that resonate with her, reflect a woman who understands the value of living authentically. Her story reminds us that true success is not only measured by public acclaim or awards, but by the ability to navigate life on one's own terms, with clarity and self-respect. Her journey also highlights the emotional depth behind the glamour of Hollywood. For decades, audiences saw her charm, talent, and presence on screen, yet few fully appreciated the private determination required to maintain both professional excellence and personal integrity. Stowe's ability to manage these dual realities speaks to an inner strength that is as compelling as her most iconic performances. It is this combination of talent and resilience that allows her legacy to endure, inspiring not only admiration, but also empathy and understanding. Even today, her life reflects a delicate balance between engagement and privacy. She continues to cultivate meaningful relationships, pursue personal interests, and contribute selectively to the arts, demonstrating that one can remain vibrant and influential without being constantly in the public eye. Her story challenges conventional ideas about fame and aging in Hollywood, showing that stepping away from the spotlight does not equate to fading. It can be a conscious choice that allows for deeper fulfillment, creativity, and personal growth. Madeleine Stowe's experience at 67 also offers insight into the pressures and realities of long-term careers in the entertainment industry. Childhood success, public scrutiny, and professional expectations often create a landscape that is difficult to navigate. Stowe's ability to preserve her sense of self amidst these pressures illustrates not only discipline, but also emotional intelligence and self-awareness. She has transformed the challenges of fame into lessons in resilience, boundaries, and the careful management of both public and private life. Her story is profoundly human. It is a reminder that behind the accolades, appearances, and recognition lies a complex journey of decision-making, reflection, and personal sacrifice. Stowe's life shows that stepping back, creating space for personal growth, and focusing on meaningful pursuits are acts of strength, not retreat. By living intentionally and authentically, she has maintained both her legacy and her personal integrity, proving that life beyond the screen can be rich, rewarding, and emotionally fulfilling for those who have followed her career. Seeing Madeleine Stowe today may evoke a mix of nostalgia and admiration. The actress who once captivated audiences with youthful brilliance has evolved into a woman whose grace, wisdom, and quiet resilience are equally compelling. Her story encourages reflection on how we define success, fulfillment, and happiness, particularly in the face of societal pressure and external expectation. It demonstrates that the truest measure of a life well lived is not visibility or acclaim, but the thoughtful choices and personal growth achieved over time. Ultimately, Madeleine Stowe at 67 exemplifies strength, self-awareness, and the power of intentional living. Her journey through decades of fame, personal challenge, and professional achievement serves as both an inspiration and a lesson. She shows that it is possible to navigate life with dignity, maintain emotional depth, and pursue meaningful engagement, all while protecting the private spaces that sustain personal well-being. Her story is a testament to the enduring value of resilience, reflection, and authenticity in a world that often prioritizes appearance over substance. And now, for the first time, fans can see not just the public icon they have admired for years, but the private woman who has navigated triumph, challenge, and transformation with remarkable grace. Madeleine Stowe's life is a story that transcends Hollywood, offering lessons in perseverance, emotional intelligence, and the importance of living a life true to oneself. At 67, she is not simply an actress remembered for her roles. She is a woman whose story inspires, moves, and resonates far beyond the screen.